And Craig, this is Miss Becca.
Hi.
Becca, this
Hello,
is Craig.
Becca.
Nice to meet you. Hey guys, let's
You as
chat about
well.
something on a more positive note for a second before I dive into any of my story because it can get very deep and ugly at times. I spent the past 10 days hanging out with a whole bunch of amazing people on TikTok. And on behalf of my family and everybody who contributed to it, we are making a donation tonight of $178.85 to Child Rescue. So thank you for everybody who participated in all the battles and all of the craziness over the past 10 days.
Yeah,
It's
it's neat
awesome,
that you
Becca.
can enjoy some crazy times and do a good thing, and we can all, stand together. It's, you know, I
And
appreciate
and
that about our country is many things that seem to be going wrong around us. I've got friends in other countries that say, Craig, I couldn't do what you do with Vets for Child Rescue in my country. It's already too tyrannical. We've already lost that ability. We can't stand up against an organized crime like that. The government wouldn't let us. I'm like, man. So there's a lot of people pulling for us around the world. That's why I think so many people ask if they could translate Contraland into all these different languages. Some languages I would have never thought would would come up, and people wanted to share that. So, man, I'm hoping and praying that Vets for Child Rescue keeps breaking down the doors and alerting people and changing the culture so that this spreads globally, man. Because I know this is not just going on in this country by any stretch of the imagination. Child trafficking is global and it is bad.
Yeah,
So,
so
and
I'll
Becca,
dive into a small part of
Becca,
my story. Go ahead, Tyler.
yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for doing what you did with raising money. I've been watching you. I know put in a lot of work doing this, and it is amazing and it's very empowering in seeing, people come together for a great cause. So thank you again, Becca. I know you tried so hard doing this, and it was amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's been fun. I've
yeah,
met some amazing people as a result too. So I mean, it's been an adventure, that's for sure.
your efforts are
Yeah,
appreciated. Definitely
you may have to
appreciated
hop
here.
out the box and turn it back on, or try to get back in.
Yeah, Kim, your box
TikTok
is
may be
black.
glitching on you. Yeah. So, all right, Becca, it's
So
all
I'll jump
yours.
into a small part of my story, but I also want to touch on a question that you asked a bit ago. So I was trafficked from the age of 15 to right before my 25th birthday. So I was a child when I was taken and was an adult when I was rescued. I was not rescued by an organization. I was rescued by a complete stranger. Um, but guys, I really want you to understand that trafficking looks very different in different situations. So I can only speak to what it looked like for me. Um, but we were mostly in hotels, casinos, or on or walking the streets, like in areas that are known for finding dates. Is a good way to put that. So, what does it look like for me? It looked like a girl that was very lost, with other women and children and men who were also very lost. We were in the open, guys. Like we weren't hiding, we weren't being hid. We shopped at Walmart as a group. We went a lot of public places as a group, including Six Flags. So it looks like your neighbors is what it looks like.
Man, it's heartbreaking to think that how many times in life we may have been within steps or brushed up against someone who inside was desperate for freedom and and was living a nightmare, and we were that close and didn't know what to do. It's
Yeah,
an
I mean,
upsetting thought. If I have my way, we'll figure out how to alert the populace to it to where it'll be impossible for people to do this anymore, to enslave people here. It has to be, again, back to the tolerance. We can't let people trick us into being tolerant of evil. We have to be intolerant of that if we love anything else. Evil is always going to encroach. It's always going to take. It's always going to steal. It's always going to lie to get it. And it's going to destroy everything. And we have to stand up for the little ones And I think teaching each other what to look for, how this works, how to protect the little ones is something we have to do, man. We can't let anybody beat us into submission over it. I will not.
No, and it's going to take an army, guys. It's going to take everybody paying attention to what's going on around you. One of the things you asked earlier is what you can like. What did it look like?
Yeah.
So again, I can only speak from my own story and those who I was around in the 10 years of hell that I lived through. It looked like a bunch of kids in a hotel room that never left the room. It looked like a constant flow of people in and out the door. It looked like a child very scantily dressed standing on street corners. It looked like a bunch of hodgepodge of kids walking around Walmart with an adult that didn't look like it belonged to them. It looked like bruises that were not always covered up. So I mean, we were in the public eye, guys. We went to Walmart to get usually personal stuff. We weren't allowed to choose what we were buying, so we never put anything in a cart. We just walked. We didn't make eye contact with anybody. Um, we didn't really talk to a whole lot of people around us. If somebody asked if we were okay, we typically just shook our heads yes, and we kept walking. So there's a lot of things you can look for, but when I tell people, like, if you don't feel right about something or you see something weird, especially if you're in a hotel and you're traveling and you're seeing like a constant flow of men and women because they came to see us both in and out of a hotel room, say something. That's not normal, guys. It's not normal for like a whole collective of people coming singly into a room full of women or children at a hotel you're at. That's a telltale sign that something is wrong.
Yeah. Airbnb rental homes around major events too. There's a lot of that. Oh, look at that little one. There's a canine unit.
Yep, this is my service animal. It's Princess, and every time I get on one of these lives, she always wants to say hello. Um, so that's Princess. She's probably going to hang out for a minute until she calms down.
No worries. She's
The other
welcome.
thing I wanted to touch base with you about, and I talked about this last week a little bit, is the areas we traveled in. Unfortunately, and I say this with an unfortunate because I love the veterans in this country. I come from a partial military family. Um, Unfortunately, military bases were something we were on quite a bit. And like I said, I can only speak for my own story. Sporting events, military bases, major tourism hotspots, Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, San Diego area. Uh, that's typically where we were is around places that we could get the traffic that was needed to make our quotas.
Wow. Wow.
So, and unfortunately, I mean, El Paso, Texas, we spent a lot of time there. Idaho, I was in Idaho quite a bit. And the majority of the people who were coming to see us were unfortunately members of our military.
And that's heartbreaking to hear. Yeah, my mind, Becca, is just replaying what you're describing of the children in public, big public stores, and you know they could be rescued if only people knew. My mind, I'm racing for solutions.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out why I was stuck where I was for 10 years and why no one ever said, "Hey, are you guys okay?" I don't have an answer for that, guys. What I do have an answer for is my voice matters, and I can talk about it today to hopefully make sure that another kid who's in that position doesn't get overlooked or fall through cracks again.
Let me back you up on that. My wife really has a problem with this whole mind your own business phrase, mind your business. She said to me quite a while back, if people wouldn't have minded their own business, all of us children that were being raped by the neighbors could have been spared. But people had to have seen and noticed something, but they minded their own business. She really has a problem with that. Maybe we need to revisit that on very loud culturally and say, hey, look, man, what does mind your own business really mean? Certainly, if it involves the safety of children, if you see children in harm's way, or you think you see a scenario where children are in harm's way, I would submit to you that's a time when you probably should not mind your own business. You should intervene to the degree that you can and get to the bottom of what's going on, and stop somebody notify the guard, law enforcement that are there. Take pictures of plates. Take video of the perpetrators, who you think's a perpetrator, the children. Maybe the children's are on wanted posters. Maybe there's cases, missing children cases on them. Maybe you can take photos or video of the vehicle, the license plate, of the residence, of the hotel room, the time and the date, so that the hotel can determine who rented that room and investigate that way. These are all things that we, the people, can do. We all have a cell phone on us, and a lot of times to their detriment, even the children. So I think when we start seeing these things that Becca's describing around major sporting events, the vans, the hotel rooms, the Airbnb homes, where there's just a lot of traffic, the children don't look like they belong with the adults. Start gathering some evidence and start notifying. And let's see if we can start changing the culture to where we don't mind our own business when it comes to the children, because they can't defend themselves, and we have to do it.
There's
There's
some
my rant.
comments. There's some comments in here talking about transactions in hotels. I can tell you for sure that my handlers and my traffickers used false identities and always paid in cash. So it was kind of hard to track them that way. We also stayed in some pretty well-known hotel chains, and the operators of them were being paid to not say anything. Um, Scary thought that is. Like, there are plenty of them that knew what was going on and did not care because they were getting cut in on some of the profit.
Again, every time I hear of corruption, it just stabs at me. I'm not I'm not wired, you know. Um, I'm not wired to accept it for whatever reason. Every single time I hear it, it upsets me.
I
But
think
hey,
it's
look,
hard
if
to
that's the
understand
way it
that
is,
coming from.
yeah,
I
we need
think
to
it's hard to
recognize it
understand how
and
deep
start changing it. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
how deep. I think it's hard for a lot of people to fathom how deep that corruption goes. One of the people I was with for a very long period of time, his mom worked for the state as a CPS. Like, she worked for CPS, Child Protective Services, in that state, guys. She knew what was going on. She would come pick up money from our rooms. She would bring us food. She knew where we were. Um, she was supposed to be keeping children safe, and instead she was helping hide us.
Yeah. Not to go on a big preaching binge, but I wonder how people, how they think life works. What you can bring harm to even if you're not a spiritually minded person. If I'm trying to wrap my mind around how somebody would think that if I spend my life harming these children, that everything's going to work out okay for me. I just I'm trying to figure out how people figure that that's going to work out. Even
Well,
on a spiritual level, my wife says, "Hey, people say God bless the USA, but what are these crooks thinking was going to happen at some point when we defile and destroy the children, God's most precious and innocent, at an industrial scale? How can He bless the USA? Because we're allowing it by not standing up and driving it out." And she's like, what were they thinking was going to happen? I'm like, God help us. If there's vengeance on a nation for turning their back on God and committing unspeakable acts on the innocent, God help us, because we're in for a hurt. Anyway, there's my
yeah,
thought.
I mean, it's true. And to answer that question is, what are they thinking? That they're not going to get caught. And honestly, in my story, and again, I can only speak from my experience, none of the people who were around me, who helped hide us, who beat the crap out of us, who allowed us to be serial raped by thousands of men over the course of that 10 years, none of them have ever been convicted of a crime for anything I was around. Not just for me or the other children, nothing. And I talk about this openly. I am the only one that I know of around that group that got convicted of anything. And it was they typically go after the girls or the children because it's easier than building a case against the traffickers. Not that it's right, but that's the truth. And I've been told that straight to my face by vice
Yeah.
officers before. Like I've been walked out of a police station with a card to a homeless shelter and not a phone, like literally not a phone to even make the phone call to get help.
Yeah. Prosecute the prostitute. Don't even check to see if there's a gorilla pimp running
No, they
the
know
actual
there is.
business. Yeah.
They know there is. Like they literally know. And they straight up told us to. And again, I've encountered this on multiple occasions that either one, we don't have the resources, or two, it's they don't really care.
I wonder how anyone could get into law enforcement and not care. Like, serve and protect. That's what a law enforcement job is, to serve and protect. Protect whom? If
Not
not
our
those
kids.
that need protecting. The ones that need protecting are who we should be serving to protect. And so we've got some gaps in our culture. And like my mama would have said, they need Jesus. And not to keep going back to that, but that really, I just keep seeing where it all comes from. These people are empty. They don't have the basic moral decency and qualities and comprehension and understanding of what right and wrong is and why they're on this planet and what they should do with their lives, how they should spend their time. And they can't even recognize, apparently, that it feels really good when you do something nice for someone. And it doesn't really feel too good when you wrong somebody. They can't even figure that out and adjust. Even as a child, man, I stole a Matchbox car from a buddy of mine down the street when, I don't know, we were 5, 6 years old, and I felt bad about it. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore, man. I mean, if you're just a normal, healthy human being, you have to recognize, like, man, if I saw a pregnant lady and she was struggling and it was raining, and maybe I'm a drug dealer and I'm a horrible person or whatever, and I just, for whatever reason, turned around and stopped and held the door open for her, and she was like, "Oh, thank you so much," it's got to feel good, right? Even when anybody just does the kindest thing and somebody's pulled over and they're struggling to help them, it doesn't cost you anything. I don't know. I struggle to understand humanity sometimes. I really do.
Uh, I think it's important to note, guys, that I mean, I was around my handlers and my traffickers for a long period of time. All four of them got to know some of their family background as a result of being around them for so long, and all four of them came from a broken home.
Yeah.
They are hurt people hurting people, and that has to stop. We can't keep allowing it, and then our society hides it. And like you guys think that, I mean, Shama touched on it about elite. Guys, I've had to sign NDA disclosures agreements to see some of the clients I've seen. It wasn't just, like people picture somebody buying a session with a child, and they think it's what their version of a predator looks like. Guys, these were literally everybody, and I'm not trying to call out our military, but everybody from our military to police officers. I had a judge who sentenced me on a ticket and then bought time with me 2 days later. The same judge. Like it literally was everybody, guys. It was politicians. It was the electrician down the street. It was a drug dealer. It was everybody who paid. And it wasn't just me. We talk about this, and I think it's true. The majority of our stories, we weren't alone usually. I mean, I can't even think of a time where I was alone ever in that time frame, other than when I was in jail. Um, but there was typically between 4 and 7 girls with me at all times, and I shouldn't just say girls because there was little boys with me, there was men with me, there was full-grown women with me, so it was a collection of people, 4 to 7, and we typically traveled with another trafficker that had at least 4 people with them. And $250,000 a year per child to me is very low, very, very low. I think that number is actually astronomically higher than that, because I know for sure, like I said, I can only speak from my experience, but we were required to bring in at least $1,000 a day, at least, depending on where we were, and the price of paying for somebody's time changes depending on where you are in the country. So Like Vegas, we weren't allowed to come home until we had $2,500. And when I say home, it was a hotel room, but we couldn't get off the strip until we had $2,500 a day. And imagine that, 4 to 7 people at the minimum, $2,500 a day, and we were there for months at a time. So I don't think that statistic is accurate even a little bit. I think it's probably more in the realm of 500 to a million per child, and that honestly might be on the low side as well. So we
All right.
became a product. We weren't human.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't have my identity. We literally were dispensable, is a good way to put it. Um, at times I felt like I literally was the gum stuck on the bottom of someone's shoe. And we're talking about thousands of people walking past me, especially in the Las Vegas area every day. Thousands of it, guys. We were on the strip, in the hotel rooms, on the strip. We were in the casinos. We weren't hiding, and
Becca, let
no
me
one
let
ever
me
stopped.
ask you. This may be a difficult time and place to ask this, but let me ask you, what kinds of things could a passerby, if they were willing, say to a child who's in that situation? Could they say something like, "Are you safe? If not, I'll take you to safety right now. I'm a,
Uh,
I'm an off-duty cop. I was a Marine. I was this. I was that." Is there anything that people could say if they meant it and cause a child to go, "Okay, then let's go," because I don't want to go
I
back to
mean,
where I came from?
this for me is. Hold on, let me get away from this fan. This for me
Or
is
could it?
a pretty. It's a hard question for me to answer because what I can say is when I first was trafficked, I did ask for help. But the problem is people don't help. Like they will offer help, and I've said this on these lives all the time: is don't be a hero unless you have a plan of action. If somebody does say yes to those questions, and when I say a plan of action, it isn't calling law enforcement and handing that girl off or the child or the boy. It's asking questions of, okay, what happens afterwards? Because for me, that was the biggest hole in every time I asked for help, there wasn't the aftercare in place. And like I said,
Right.
I have a whole lot of respect for law enforcement today, and a whole lot of respect for a lot of different organizations. But the not having aftercare when I asked for help kept me trapped.
Yeah,
And
I could see that.
all it did was take me from one bad place and put me in another bad place, and then we ended up back where we started.
Yeah, I tell you what, if anybody's struggling for what to do, if you've got the means, man, aftercare is so needed. It is so missing. There's not nearly enough and not nearly the quality that it needs. 18 to 24 months minimum is what my buddy Yakubuyan says is needed. Otherwise, you should expect him to go back because it's
CP
just,
just CP just dropped a comment in the chat that said there is nowhere to go but back to the streets. So people ask, one of the most common things I'm asked is, why didn't you run? Answer this: where?
better too. Yeah.
Where to? Where am I going to run to? And if there's an answer for that question, and people know that there's hope on the other side of that, they may be more willing to put themselves in harm's way to run. But if there's not an answer to where, I've been there, done that, guys. I took a Greyhound bus from Vegas at one point to New Orleans, and was trying to get away. Was turned down at every safe house in New Orleans and the surrounding Louisiana area. I could not find a bed anywhere. It took my trafficker 7 days to find me.
Well, look, we have these holding facilities for illegal immigrants, and we separate the children from the adults so that they'll stop being raped while they're in holding. I wonder, I'm just trying to think, what if there was something like a rescue ranch, if there could be an organization that was run by quality people with all the proper oversight and security, that it wasn't going to be one of these places where there's further harm done, where it was a safe refuge and it was legit, and children knew, and the word got out, and stickers were put all in the bathroom stalls of all the casinos and everywhere that, people go where children could see them, airports and all that kind of stuff, rescue ranch or whatever it could be. If the child gets to an adult or a police officer or something and get me to a rescue ranch, hopefully there could be several around the country, then if they know that they could at least get to one of those facilities, they'd be taken in, they'd be made safe. Their family would be tracked down if they have a healthy family that they need to be reconnected to, or they would at least be made safe and fed and sheltered, and until further proper aftercare could be done. Even if the place is overloaded, wouldn't kick them back out on the streets. That keep them there, um, behind a fence and guarded, for legitimate safekeeping. I mean, seems to me like that's something that needs to exist.
It
Hey,
does.
hey,
There's a few in the country, but I'll touch on that in a second. But what I think is more important is that when, as a child, when I reach out for help and I didn't get the help I needed, I stopped reaching out for help because I lost hope.
Yeah,
So I think that there needs to be something in place. Like, there needed to be something in place 10 years ago, but if it's not in place, and unfortunately, there was a law enforcement officer on here that I kind of threw under the bus the other day, but I asked him an honest question. Do you know what happens to us when the police are finished with us? Do you know? Because if you don't know, you might as well leave those kids where they are. And that's just an
hey,
honest, harsh
Greg,
reality from somebody who lived in there. If you don't know what's going to happen to those kids when you walk them out that door, leave them where they are. I have watched so many people be unalived for asking for help, and then there wasn't an aftercare program. And that's the other thing, is we see that. We see people who become unalived when they ask for help, and that puts us even in more fear. So when it becomes an opportunity to try to reach out for help, we don't do it, because at the end of the day, we are literally trying to preserve self. And if staying where we are is less harmful than leaving, we're going to stay.
yeah, yeah. That's man. That's something that's wide open for improvement and needs to be changed, man. It
And
just
it's a
looks like
harsh
there's
reality,
so
guys.
much heavy lifting to. Look at how many people live in this country. How many people have lived and died here, and we haven't developed a better system to care for our own offspring. You know, um, just. But
And
look,
not only
that's
that,
why I celebrate this kind of chat where everybody can get on and go, hey, look, what's going on and what can we do about it? Because who knows who's watching this or what in the meetings that we can all float this across the table as we build Vets for Child Rescue and other people, their orgs, and maybe from these chats we can start hammering away at these problems and bring some real solutions,
I
man. It's
just
just
started I just started a not-for-profit. It's called Unsilenced. Um, my goal within 10 years is to buy property where I can build not only a home, but have all therapies on site and the ability to live off the land to teach a trade, especially to victims of trafficking, that not only can they get a paycheck, that sense of independence, but also have the sense of safety with it, knowing that their network is still right there. That's what I want to do. That's what I am working for and trying to do. If I would have had the opportunity for a place like that, I think I would have been so much further than where I am right now.
yeah,
and I also think it's important to note that, like, so when I made my escape from Vegas, it was again by a complete stranger who knew nothing about what I was going through. And guys, I talk about my story openly and honestly. He I robbed him because I had to go back to my handlers with money, and at the time I didn't have any. Um, and he texted me after I left the casino we were at, and texted me something about, and I'll never forget these words. He texted me, "You and I both know the truth." And at the time, he was talking about me robbing him. Um, but I texted him back, "You don't know anything about the truth. Do you want to know the truth?" And I literally spilled everything. And that was a moment of desperation for me, because I knew at that point that my life was short lived if I didn't get away. It was well extended at that point. Um, and fortunately, he got in touch with an organization in Oklahoma. But I can tell you, I came to an organization here that says that they're a safe place for human trafficking, and that they were a safe place to have a roof over my head. But they did not have any resources to help me in a journey to freedom. Um, so it was a struggle. Like it was a huge struggle when I got free to find like healthcare, and I at the same time trying to find my identity and deal with horrible PTSD that I still deal with on a daily basis. But with that being said, there are organizations out here that are trying to do the positive and good things in our lives. But unfortunately, the resources are far and few between. They are more prevalent for children. Unfortunately, I was not rescued as a child. And I think that is a commonality with a bunch of us, is that we weren't rescued as children. We fell into trafficking as a child, and we leave as adults. And the resources available for us differ greatly from children. And
Yeah.
they shouldn't, but that's the truth. So I'm
Hey,
grateful
hey, Craig,
for
you
it.
want to?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say Savage was trying to get in. Sorry, Becca.
No,
Yeah.
you're okay.
Sorry about that. I got 10 more minutes, everybody. I'm enjoying this, but I got to go eat dinner and catch up with the
Right.
mama.
One thing I want to throw out real quick is that any survivors that are in here, my inbox is always open. There's also a Discord. If you need to talk, I am not a licensed professional. I just go off of my experience, my understanding. However, I do know how to help you find a therapist in your area or anything of that nature. Or if you just need to vent, I am always open. If you just want a voice or anything on the other end of the phone, I'm always around. Please know that you are loved, that you are seen, you are heard, and you are worthy. And that's one thing that I just wanted to say.
I
Thank
like
you,
And I
that.
can
Savage.
We're
I
all
can
God's
just
children. Some people don't, they don't get to feel love and they don't know their value and their worth. And it's sad, but we're all God's children, man. We are all made the same. And it's tragic that not everybody gets to know that.
ditto
Well,
that, guys.
Craig,
My Go ahead. Go ahead, Savage.
Craig, I wanted to say that what you have done, what you have put together, me personally, it's more of an inspiration than you will ever know. I'm so thankful that you do what you do, and I know your passion is there, and the difference that you make and the lives that you touch will be untold for generations. I want you to know that. So
Uh,
thank you so much.
I appreciate that. It's a privilege. I mean, I'm thankful to be able to do something, and it's interesting with all the opposition and the nastiness of it. What a peace my wife and I have found through it, because when you're doing good, uh, you got the big guy on your side. You got God Almighty uh, behind you. It feels right, and I guess I'm a hard warrior, but I got a soft heart for the defenseless, and I I think I have that burden for a reason because I'm supposed to use it, and so
Right.
I want to say it feels right to do what I can, and I'm grateful whenever the impact is felt out there. It's something I'm I'm glad to see and hear. So thanks for sharing that.
And Craig, I don't know if you realize this, but your platform has brought a whole group of survivors together, and has empowered us in a way that I have never felt before. Um, I've gotten the opportunity to get to know several of them and chat with them and bounce ideas off of them, and we've cried together and laughed together, and just sat with each other. And the power of that is unbelievably strong. It is a love that I haven't been able to feel. I haven't talked about this a lot, but I do work for a nonprofit here that is fighting human trafficking that did just open a secure facility for children that has 96 beds.
Oh wow,
So,
wow,
yep. So
right on.
that's been a pretty awesome adventure. But I get to hang out with the girls that are coming to there who are broken. They're broken. They were broken just like I am, and I have something to live for every day. Like I can't dwell in my past today because I have to be an example for them. And the only way I know how to do that is to continue to give back. So thank you for giving us a voice.
Right.
It's a privilege. Thanks for expressing that. I'm trying to keep my composure here with you ladies. You're going to ruin my tough guy image.
Also, thank you, Tyler. You know, you've been there for Shama and myself. You've been there in my crazy moments.
Mine
So,
too.
right. And I'm thankful for this too because I was able to meet Becca, and we're actually making plans to meet up in real life. And she's amazing. I love talking to her on the phone. She cracks me up. Um, but the fact, it's so difficult to find people in the same mindset that have gone through what we've been through. So what you have offered, Craig and Tyler, is a way for us to continue healing in a manner we didn't know was possible. We are forever grateful for you for that.
Right on. And I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
And Tyler's brought all this together. So it's just cool, man. I met him years and years ago, um, basically through the firearms industry and mutual friends there. And it's really cool to see when God has a plan, how things come together and why you ran across somebody way back when, or why a thing happened, and what you can do with whatever journey you've had, whatever life's put you through, what you can do with it. That's part of what I'm learning and enjoying now with Vets for Child Rescue. Is like, man, it's at times I was like, God, why me? Why did this painful thing at the time happen in my life? And now I can look back and go, oh wow, you had a plan. I'm supposed to go start an entire movement and try to eradicate child trafficking, and maybe it'll happen. I know I'm going to fight for the rest of my days. So it's a privilege. It's a privilege, and you ladies have encouraged me. I celebrate the information that you're sharing, so that people can start painting a picture of what to look for. Tyler, let's get together, and Kim will we'll start archiving a lot of these what to look for kind of things. To us, it may seem like common sense, but I think the more of it that we can write down and put on our website and kind of educate people on, the more we can alert people to it and empower everybody on how to spot this situation and impact it in the future. So, Tyler, ladies, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Tyler, we got
Thanks for
two
having
minutes. You
me.
want to take us home, brother?
I guess I can. I just want to say thank you all. Every one of y'all are my heroes, and I couldn't have done any of this without coming across your paths. And I'm glad and thankful for you know being on this journey. It's like Craig said, it's a privilege and it's an honor to be amongst y'all. Hopefully we can be that change and get out there and fight for these people. Because there's so many kids out there that don't have, that are still stuck in there, in that
Right.
hole. We got to reach them. And we really got to work together. This is a common ground that we can all come together and fight together, fight this evil. So let's do it. I'm in it to win it. So let's do it all together. We can do this.
Well, I know that you are, Tyler, and you've been such a tremendous help. And so you just decided that you were going to help, man. And I know everybody at Vets for Child Rescue loves and appreciates you. And man, you've just been a tremendous boost. So bless you for it. Truly, you're
And
appreciated
we
here.
love you too. We love you a lot, Tyler.
Absolutely.
Yo,
Yep.
I knew I had found some good people when Tyler asked me to put together some information regarding my traffickers, and one of them immediately reached out to me on Snapchat, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Are you safe?" And the second words were, "If I have to drive to make sure you're safe, I'll be there."
There you go.
And that's the group we have. Y'all are incredible and are becoming family so quickly because we never had that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know for other survivors, I really don't think that I'm stepping out of line when I say we thank you for not only saving lives, but continuing in the healing by bringing us together. This is amazing, Craig. What you're
Right
doing
on.
is amazing.
Well, together we are what we can't be alone, right? Together we can be a network that brings change. We can create this, and we are. So I celebrate it. Let's enjoy the journey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. God
Have
bless,
a good
and
one.
we'll catch you guys soon.